Hi guys! Today I'm going to be doing several videos, so welcome to my channel and let's get started. This is my second cooking video of today. So in this video I am making the fruit cake my fiance attempted to describe to me. So a lot of this I was just blindly baking. I didn't follow a recipe, so it kind of turned out a mess, but it tasted really good. Alright, so I decided to be lazy because I had been baking the last 2 days, and I bought a mix of angel food cakes so that I did not have to do a whole nother homemade recipe. So, you basically take out the mix, dump it in the bowl, and then I believe you just add water. So there's my water. Gonna pour that in there. Gonna go ahead and start mixing it up after I've already poured it in. Don't forget to already have your oven preset. And this should be on the back of your box. I believe for me, my oven setting was 325. For this recipe, you're going to beat on low for 30 seconds, and then you're going to beat on medium for 1 minute. And it's important to follow this recipe because I believe it is what makes the texture of the angel food cake. You don't want to overbeat, otherwise I think it makes it too dense. I could be wrong, I just know that overbeating is huge no-no. Now that I have finished beating my batter, I'm going to pour it into my already greased pan. I'm going to be using 2 square, which I can't remember the dimensions, but I'm going to be using 2 square pans. Again, try not to fill more than 3/4 of the way, otherwise it's going to spill over and make for a very unpleasant mess later on. Now that I've got my pans filled, I'm going to put them in the oven for about 30 minutes. The recipe actually said to do 35 to 40, but I know in my parents' oven that is way too long. So I just did mine for 30 and it turned out perfect. So while the angel food cakes are in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and get out all of my fruit, get it washed and cut up and put into a bowl. So I've got blackberries, maraschino cherries, pineapple, peaches, strawberries, mandarin oranges. I will be using some bananas, but I didn't show them here, and I also have grapes. Okay, so first I'm going to open my can of mandarin oranges and dump them in the bowl. Then I'm going to go open my pineapple, but I quickly realized my mandarin oranges were actually a little bit too large to leave them in whole size, so I went ahead and started cutting them into thirds. Alright, so I went and opened my can of peaches. I'm gonna go ahead and cut those up too, because obviously they're larger than the mandarin oranges. I think I cut them into fourths, and then dump them into the bowl with the mandarin oranges. Now I'm going to add my strawberries. So for these, I'm going to cut off the green leafy part, and then I'm going to cut up into a couple pieces. I didn't really count how many strawberries I put in there. I kind of eyeballed it Strawberries are one of our favorite fruits, so I kind of did a little bit more of those than the other fruits, but just kind of eyeball it, make sure everything's somewhat of a good ratio. But of course, if you have a favorite fruit, throw some more of it in there. Who's gonna stop you? So now that I've finished the strawberries, I'm going to pull open that pineapple can from earlier and dump that in there. So in this moment, I was kind of not arguing, but discussing with my parents how I was a little disappointed in the advertising on the can of the pineapple. So I did not read it correctly. It said crushed, but there was pictures of cubed pineapple on the cover. So I thought it was going to be cubed. Anyways, crushed pineapple was fine. It just wasn't the texture I was hoping for. Time for one of my most favorite of fruits, cherries. So I went ahead and got a spoon, opened my cherry jar, and I'm going to be scooping some onto my decent little cutting board there, and I think I cut them into halves and then decided I didn't want to cut them all and just threw them in there whole. And again, it doesn't really matter how much you put in there. I was eyeballing it. I knew cherries were both of our favorites, so I just put a little bit more in there than some of the other fruits, but I kind of made sure there was a nice ratio of all the fruits, a bunch of different flavors. Next, I'm going to add in the blackberries. Again, I'm either cutting them into halves or fourths and eyeballing it. I didn't buy as many blackberries as I did of the other fruits, so I'm going to do the entire container. And now I'm going to be adding in some grapes. If you see my fiance's dog in the background, just remember, grapes are not good for dogs. As much as they will beg for them, don't ever give them one. So anyways, back to the grapes. I'm going to cut them into halves, and I'm only putting a couple in there because I just felt like they were kind of large and awkward, but they tasted great. Alright, so there's a little bit of story to this part. I do not like brown bananas. I don't care what anybody tells me. They do taste different to me. I prefer my bananas just slightly green on the outside. I don't like sweet things. So for me, brown bananas are just way too sweet. So I was not going to use bananas in this, but received quite a protest from my father and fiance. So now I am adding in the brown bananas. My lovely mother has decided to step in and help me out with this little tip she had. Pouring lemon juice over your bananas before you add them to your fruit salad actually keeps them from going brown. I didn't know this, and I'm super glad she stepped in, so that is what I was doing right there. Alright, now that I have all my fruit cut up and in the bowl, I'm going to give it a nice gentle stir so that way everything's not all in one spot. And then I'm going to add my Cool Whip. So to reiterate, I am not following a recipe, not at all. So I decided, you know what, dumping this entire tub of Cool Whip in here, it should be fine. So that's what I did. Honestly, I thought after I stirred it was a little too much, but it was for my fiance who has a tremendous sweet tooth, and he loved it. So just remember who you're baking for. Sometimes less is not more. Alright, through all that, I hope you did not forget to take your cakes out of the oven because I forgot to remind you, but here are mine and they turned out really, really awesome. I love the color and the texture I'm seeing. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm not following a recipe. I'm just dumping fruit Cool Whip on there. My fiance failed to tell me that this is actually done in a bowl. His family makes this fruit cake salad recipe in a bowl. So it was already too late. I was not about to pick up this piece of cake covered in fruit mess and put it in a bowl. So I just went with it. Yes, it is as messy as it looks, but I was informed it was really, really delicious, so after hearing that, I'm not as worried about how it looks as I was before. Originally, when I finished this, I was just so done with the cake at this point, because I was like, there is no saving the appearance of this thing. It is so ugly. So, there's no icing or anything, it's just bare fruit liquidy goo coming out. So when he told me it tasted really great, I was super happy about that. When you go to make this cake, it's up to you. Put it in a bowl or follow me in this weird cake attempt. It's up to you. Just remember, it's a fruit salad cake, so it's not going to be super pretty and perfect, but it does taste amazing. As if this cake didn't already look so embarrassing, I decided I'll take my half-frozen Cool Whip that I had left over and I'll just kind of dump it on top. Of course, I was going for the super pretty dollop, but that is not what happened. It came out more like a boulder. There was nothing dainty about it. But I just kind of worked with it, and as you can see, it just kept getting worse. And there's my attempt of a band-aid. Just put a strawberry on top. It'll look better. Only it didn't, and my poor strawberry decided to do a slip and slide down the side of my cake. And there you have it, my fruitcake salad catastrophe on a platter. Oh, and here's that story I was telling you about the banana. Please enjoy my dad's expertise.
Don't ever let anyone tell you that the outside of the banana is what determines how good the inside is. Now see that? It makes it a little bit softer to where your banana might go limp and fall on the floor. But it's actually quite tasty.
This will be the blooper.
What happened to my banana?